All right, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back, and joining us right now is the one and only Dick Morris, political strategist, Newsmax contributor, author of Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation. Hello, Dick.
Hey, Steve. How are you doing?
Good. Good to talk to you again. All right, you wrote a great piece at thehill.com talking about a name that we haven't heard too much about lately because he hasn't announced yet, and we tend to focus on, and the media certainly is focused on, those Republican candidates who have announced, and that would be one, Scott Walker, and very intriguing title to your piece, Scott Walker's Problem.
Well, people say that a governor would be better than a president, that a governor is better able to work as a president than a senator would. But I think that a candidate is much better as a senator than as a governor, because a senator is used to dealing with all of the issues that exist. He's taking it all in the round, 360 degrees, whereas a governor really only sets his own agenda and can focus on it and not talk about other things. Now, we're at a time in our history where there's going to be a real focus on immigration reform, on NSA reform, and also on getting the Obamacare right after the federal court throws out the subsidy. And in those fights, Rubio and Rand Paul and Cruz have a tremendous advantage because they are sitting in the Senate and they can make news, whereas Walker can only make noise because he's not in the Senate and doesn't have any power over this.
So by extension, the same would apply to Jeb Bush, I would presume, and Chris Christie if he enters the race, who has his own set of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would
right.
encompass all governors. Interesting.
I think that's true. And also Mike Huckabee, although
yes,
he has his own efforts. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Left Huckabee off the list, absolutely. But doesn't a governor like Scott Walker have something to offer that, as you alluded to briefly at the beginning of the hit here, that the others don't, or at least something different than the others do, especially in Walker's case, where he's taken on the unions, turned the economy around, won in a state that's not traditionally Republican, etc. Doesn't he bring a lot to the table from that point of view? And can't you point to a Bill Clinton and to a George Bush, and who were governors as well?
Yeah, I agree with that completely, and I think that there are tremendous things Walker brings to the table, which is why he's doing so well in the polls. But there's a real question. Does a governor who is running for president really take the time to understand national issues 360 degrees and understand all the subtleties and all the permutations of each issue? That's a steep learning curve for a governor. For a senator, he has to do it every day. But for a governor, it's something you do in a briefing book. And Bill Clinton, who I've known well, was very good at that. He became quickly acclimated to all of the variants of national issues. But Rick Perry, for example, did not. He went right into the presidential race and assumed it was like he was running for governor. Every other thing he said, well, in the state of Texas, this and this is true. And that doesn't work. And when Walker came out about 3 months ago with his first round of public appearances, I was very unimpressed with the way he handled questions. And it's just a question of, will he do what Perry never did, and for that matter, Sarah Palin never did, which is to sit down with the national briefing book and learn this stuff.
Yeah, no, that you would think that is a no-brainer and would just happen automatically. Let me talk about Jeb Bush for a second, if you don't mind. He had that interview with Megyn Kelly. I think, and we played this on the air before, I think he misunderstood the question, Dick, where he was asked, if you knowing what you know today, would you still go into Iraq? And he said yes, and by the way, so would Hillary Clinton, and so would John Kerry, and so would I think obviously to take that next answer there and to include Hillary and the others, he would have had to assume the question was, going back to that point, knowing what you knew then, not knowing what you know today. So I think he made a mistake in hearing the question, and he needs to clarify that.
Well, it's generous to say it's a mistake. Bush's big problem, Jeb's big problem in getting the nomination is that he's following a very unpopular president in George W. Bush. When Bush left office, he had only a 32% approval rating. The year he left office, he had at one point dipped to 27. Obama's never gone below 38. And he needs to stand up there and differentiate himself from his brother. One of the big areas is Iraq, but the other big area is the economy. You can't make an argument about the Bush presidency that doesn't include condemning him for letting soft and weak money policies, letting the floodgates open for speculation and investment based on nothing that caused this huge bubble that crashed in 2007 and 2008. Not since Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover has there been a more inept economic management and fiscal management of the country. Before Jeb Bush asked us to vote for him, he better explain what he would do right that his brother did wrong.
Well, some might argue, and I think I would be one, with all due respect, and we don't have time to go into it, that it would be hard to find one economic policy that caused the collapse. I think it was more based on the real estate, giving loans to people who didn't deserve loans, and that started back under HUD with Andrew Cuomo as the...
But he ran it all.
Say again?
But Steve, he ran it all. He could have cracked down on Fannie Mae. He could have stopped that lending. He could have gotten the Fed to raise interest rates. He could have controlled all of it, and he didn't.
All right. Well, conversation to be continued. Point well taken. And Dick, as always, we thank you. Good to talk to you, sir.
Good.
All right, folks. And by the way, be sure to get your copy of, thank you, Dick. Be sure to get your copy of Dick Morris's best-selling book, Power Grab, simply by visiting powergrab411.com. That's powergrab411.com. And up next, it's the Malzberg Political Panel. Don't miss it. It's coming your way.